today I wanted to talk about how I practice mindfulness through creating art and why I think it's so important to build mindfulness into your daily life. The term mindfulness is used quite a bit in lots of different spaces, but I didn't fully understand what it meant to be mindful and how to implement this as a practice in my own life. When I'd think about the term, I'd instantly have images of meditation and yoga in my mind. These are both great exercises, but I had to understand that mindfulness is about living in the present moment, having an awareness of your surroundings and how you're interacting with them. I used to think it was only about stretching and breathing, but it involves a lot more. In this video, I'll be breaking down how I combine mindfulness and art. But mindfulness can be practiced in so many different forms, so it's important to choose a practice that suits you. It's a great idea to add mindfulness into something you already love. Cooking is great for some people and knitting for others. I've recently watched a series of documentaries about riding motorbikes across the world, and the riders talk about how they feel more connected to their surroundings on a bike as opposed to in a car. There really are so many options to choose from. Mindfulness can take a few different forms within my art practice. I spend time outside gathering inspiration for paintings. I've grown a great appreciation for nature and love to learn about the animals and plants that I paint. I already feel connected to my surroundings before the painting even starts. As an artist, I pay close attention to detail, and as I said, this doesn't just happen when I'm applying paint. When I'm outside, I'm noticing many things that could easily be overlooked. I notice the way the sunlight interacts with the trees, the many different colours that make up the fur of a grey squirrel, the shapes and reflections in the lake, the way petals fold out on a flower. There are infinite things to see, you just have to be aware. Next time you go on a walk, try to really pay attention to what's around you. When you look, really look, I think you'll be surprised. Being outside, taking a walk, and being mindful can increase your serotonin levels and help regulate your mood, so it really does help. When it comes to painting, I'm still paying the same amount of attention to detail. I often enter a meditative state, also called the flow state, when I paint. This is how I can paint for several hours straight. When I'm in a flow state, time goes by really quickly. Sometimes I don't notice that it's been 2 hours, because to me it feels like 10 minutes. It usually feels like my hand is just doing the painting for me, and I don't have to think too much, and that's why it's called the flow state. Everything just happens naturally, and it just feels right. But you don't have to practice art to find yourself in a flow state. Like I said earlier, for you it might be cooking, it might be knitting, even riding a motorbike. Whatever it is, the more you practice it, the easier it'll come, and it's more like muscle memory. For me, I think that part of the art process kind of helps this state along. So a lot of artists, when we're painting or drawing, we're breaking down the subject into different shapes. So we're not looking at the image as what it is. So in this painting of a mushroom and leaves, I don't really see the leaves as leaves after a while. They're more like different shapes and different colours interacting with each other. So even though I said you pay a lot of attention to detail as an artist, sometimes we're doing the opposite, where we're defocusing our eyes to see things in a much more basic form, and then we're piecing it back together like a jigsaw. Sometimes I do this ahead of time, so I don't just break down the subject when I'm painting. Sometimes it will be while I'm on a walk. So, like I said earlier, I'm noticing a lot of different things and paying attention to the smaller details. And sometimes it's like I'm painting in my head. So I'll break down the subject into more basic shapes and notice how the colours are interacting with each other and how the light and the shadows are playing off of one another. So I'll be doing this in my head and noticing things and then thinking about how I would actually paint this with my hands. So this in itself is quite mindful, going through a process in your mind and noticing these things and thinking about how you can put it into practice. It is really relaxing. Sometimes I'll catch myself doing it and I won't really notice. Even when I'm just relaxing at home after a day of work, I'll notice how the lighting's changed outside and it's changed the colour of the room and how different shadows look on things. It can be objects that are really mundane as well. So it doesn't have to be a really pretty flower. Sometimes I'll look at a mug and think, oh, the way the light's bouncing off this mug is really pretty. So it's about noticing these things regardless of how beautiful they're perceived by other people. It's just implementing it in your daily life. And if you think that the way your coffee mug looks in the morning sunlight is really beautiful, then that's a great way to practice gratitude. I found this part of the painting to be really satisfying. So this painting is made up of lots of tiny little details, and that's why I thought it would be a great painting to include in this mindfulness video, because it just suits the topic so well. So as you can see, I'm painting tiny little raindrops, but I'm really noticing like the different colours in each raindrop and what shadows are in each one and where to put the highlights and what's reflecting within them. And it was a challenge, but it really did help to get me in this meditative state. I don't know if anyone else feels this way when they're painting or drawing, but I feel like I'm getting lost in my own little world that I'm creating. But in this painting, I even felt like that when I was painting each individual raindrop. So it was like I was escaping into a tiny little world within a little world, and it was just, I think it's magical. But I do recommend a painting like this, or one with lots of tiny little details, if you just want to go through this really relaxing state of mind. Speaking of raindrops, the inspiration behind this painting was the theme of April showers. So I often get pretty sad or annoyed, as most British people do, when it rains and you're just kind of sick of it because it rains a lot in the UK. And I think I feel this especially during springtime, because I get too excited about the days getting warmer and there being more sunshine. So when it rains, which it does a lot in April, I get really disheartened, because in my mind I'm like, it's meant to be spring, it's meant to be warm and sunny, but it's raining all day and it's dark and it's overcast. But I had a word with myself and I wanted to be more mindful and more appreciative, because I'm often inspired by the seasons, and my paintings will often reflect whatever season we're currently in. So I thought, pay attention to the April showers and create a painting that celebrates this instead of being upset or annoyed. Be happy about it. Like, Raindrops look really beautiful. I think that they look like lace in this painting, and they're kind of like decorating the leaves and the mushroom. So like I said, it took me to actively want to appreciate the rain and celebrate it in order to paint this image. It kind of went against my nature because I think it's part of culture in Britain to like moan about the weather. It's in a lot of our small talk and how we interact with each other. But just taking a step back and actually paying attention to how beautiful the rain is and how it's a great subject to paint and just look at really did help. Another aspect of painting or drawing, however you create art, that kind of corresponds with mindfulness is colour theory, because you really have to pay great attention to your reference image, or if you paint from real life, what your subject actually is, because our eyes can trick us a lot of the time. So sometimes colour will look blue or yellow, but it's actually grey when you actually take a closer look. So I think this, combined with the breaking down the subject into different shapes and looking at the light and shadows and adding in the tiny little details, I think this as well enhances that state of mind of really paying attention to your surroundings and how you're interacting with it. How are you going to replicate that colour? How are you going to replicate that type of shadow and the way the light's hitting the subject on this angle? I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas in the comments about mindfulness. If you're an artist, please share how you practice mindfulness through art. And if you don't do art but you have other hobbies, I'd love to know how you get yourself into this state of mind through whatever you do. I think it's really interesting, and yeah, I'd love to hear how you practice it in your day-to-day life, no matter how big or small. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it relaxing, and if it helped in any way, please let me know in the comments as well. Yeah, I'm still new to making videos, so if you've got any ideas for videos that you'd like to see, let me know and I'll have a read through them. But thank you for watching. If you like the painting in this video, it's currently available on my website www.craftingmoonlight.com, and I also have fine art prints of the painting as well in various different sizes. I'm also taking on commissions as well, so if you would like a custom piece of artwork, please let me know in the contact form on my commissions page, and there you will find all the information about how the process works. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate every like, comment and share.